You're now listening to Mark Who 42 from the Whoniverse and beyond.
Mark Who 42 would like to welcome one of our newest sponsors, Highlander Novelties Comics and Games. They are run by my good friends Christian and Wendy Gillespie. Christian, they are good people, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I was just about to say, I was like, I don't run that store. Or
Not
the other
you,
Christian.
the other Christian. Highlander Novelties is a one-stop shop for pop and geek culture items.
Yes.
They specialize in the unique and throwback characters from the past and present. They've got comic books. They've got decals for your car. They've got signs. They make them themselves. You should visit them at 364 Story Road in Ocoee, Florida. That's like right outside Orlando, isn't it, Christian?
A bit northwest outside of Orlando. Yeah, we were very excited to be part of the grand opening that they had out there and are even more excited that they've joined the family of sponsors here at Mark Who 42. You can check them out on their Facebook site. Again, as Mark mentioned, they are in Ocoee, Florida, located at 364 Story Road. Check out their Facebook site for their business hours. Check out for also any specials going on. I believe on their site they're having a special on October the 28th for Halloween.
Yes,
Comic
they're
Fest.
having the Halloween Comic Fest 2017 and costume contest on the 28th. Just look up Highlander Novelties in the search bar and you'll find them. And please don't forget to tell them Mark Who 42 sent you.
Hi, this is Dominic Glynn. I'm a TV and film composer, composer for Doctor Who in the 1980s. You're listening to Mark Who 42.
Welcome to Mark Who 42. Yeah, guys. Sorry about the throat. I'm Mark Baumgarten, your host. I had
A lot of drinking last night, did you, sir?
Well, it was my 50th birthday, and we were celebrating, so I'm a little hungover. Sorry, guys, but
Happy
we
birthday,
wanted
Mark.
to do a show because today that we're recording is the day that we found out who the 13th Doctor is. And we'll be talking about that in a little bit. But also on this show, we've got Daphne Ashbrook again. Daphne has a one-on-one interview with Patty Hawkins. And last week, they talked about her life and her career up to Doctor Who. Well, I think this week we're going to be finding out about her career from Doctor Who and beyond. We used the word beyond a lot on this show. Let me introduce our co-hosts. Actually, let them
let's get to that part.
Let them introduce themselves. Guys, go ahead. Who the heck are you?
Hey, it's Christian Basil, Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, and I had the privilege, thanks to Hurricane Who and Coliseum of Comics located in Kissimmee, Florida. I got to meet Sylvester McCoy, Daphne Ashbrook, the lovely Sarah Louise Madison, good friend of the show, Simon Fisher-Becker, and last but definitely not least, I got to meet author Rob Sherman. All five of them were there. So
wow, it sounds like those are people that we've actually met before.
They've all been on the show, luckily. And you know what? I talked to Rob, and he goes, I explained to him, I said, you probably can always come back on the show. And he goes, well, I've got nothing going on. And I explained to him, the show, and it was the longest running show we've had. And he goes, you didn't edit anything down? And I go, no, I mean, this was great stuff. Normally, somebody just goes on. We just edit the show and stuff like that. But everything you said was pure gold.
Yeah, it was.
And he goes, no wonder Moffat won't call me anymore.
Well, Stephen Moffat
this is great stuff. People, when they interview me, they know better. They cut down the thing. I said, no, we put all 2.5 hours. He goes, 2.5 hours?
Wow.
So, I don't think he's coming back.
I think we got Rob in trouble.
I don't think he's coming back. Okay. All right, we also have
Zion Kuros.
Zion, you were at the party last night. Are you still hungover? You drink a lot. No. No.
Not yet.
Zion drank water.
I'm 2 weeks too young.
You
Still
drank water. We offered you soda. You drank water.
Water is the most essential thing.
It is essential. I must admit that. You're right. Water is essential. Okay, gang. We could talk and talk about all this stuff, but you know what? We are going to go directly to... Yeah, the breaking news. Oh, we could talk about this breaking news, and we are going to talk about this breaking news. The BBC, while we were recording, finally announced the 13th Doctor, and I am...
It's a girl!
It's a girl! It's a female. It's Jodie Whittaker. Jodie Whittaker worked with Chris Chibnall on Broadchurch. She played Beth Latimer, and she was excellent in that. And now she's playing the first female Doctor, the 13th Doctor. They went from the safe young doctors to an old doctor that some fans had a problem with. And now, instead of going back to the safety net of someone young and male, they went with another hard choice that's going to make the show even more interesting. And with Chris Chibnall running it, I think we can guarantee that there will be a story behind this. We've been saying that having a female doctor without a good story behind it wouldn't work, right?
Right.
We have been saying that. And I think Chris Chibnall, I mean, he's written for her before. I think he's got a good story. I hope so. I am very excited for next year. I'm very excited for Christmas, too. But I'm very excited for next year. What about you guys?
I'm excited all around. I mean, this is nail-biting because they're taking a big chance, and I don't disavow it at all. They picked a great actress, and God, she's hot with her new haircut.
She is. Oh.
I'm like, wow. But, yeah, I mean, from what I know of Broadchurch, she has all the emotional range.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor, I love seeing the video that they have online right now. I love her little smirk when she sees the TARDIS finally.
Yeah, we have that video online on our website too.
Yeah, marku42.net. Yeah. You can check it out. But like I said, this is one of those I'm going to have to sit back and see what happens. I mean, they could have the perfect actress and have the worst stories. So this is kind of wow. I mean, I don't know. I really didn't think they were going to take the leap like this with the show, with the ratings and all that, but I'm ready. Yeah. I'm ready for Christmas. I'm ready for the new challenges for a female doctor. I'm ready for the new series. And for Jodie, break a leg. I meant that I'm not abandoning ship. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to see for what it's worth. She is a tremendously wonderful actress. I don't know what to say. I really don't, but like I said, that little minute video of her looking at the TARDIS and that little smirk that she does felt doctorish to me. Yeah, it was cute, funny, and just, let's do it, Jodie. Come on.
Yeah. What's funny, though, is that today, this morning, before we started recording, I was going around and I saw this post on Facebook saying that the doctor was going to be female, because if you watch that minute video released 2 days ago, of all the images, like Statue of Liberty and the other images were all female images. They were basically giving us that clue 2 days ago that it was going to be a female doctor. And we got it.
I don't know how I'm supposed to take this, because, like, I'm a very firm believer of original, good-written female characters.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a whole attack on the continuity, in my opinion, because, like, prior to Darkwater, this wouldn't have happened. Prior to Missy ever coming up, we would not be in the position we are right now.
Okay.
50 years of continuity was just literally destroyed. Well, not destroyed, but tampered with in a 45-minute episode. And
gotcha. I'm not saying you're wrong or anything.
I know. I can't find words. It's not a bad thing. If the stories are bad, then we got something really bad on our hands, and the show is probably going to get canceled in 5 years if the stories are bad. Let's just all be honest right here and there.
But even if it was a male doctor, if the stories were bad, it would be shut down.
Same thing.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter.
But like what I'm trying to say is that since it has this extra weight on it, like, okay, now they're trying to switch things up and whatnot, they're going to focus on, okay, since the stories are bad now, it's because it's female. And then they'll grab anything. We've seen this in 89, whatnot. They'll grasp at anything to cancel this show. And I do not want it to be canceled again. So just make the stories good.
No, we don't want it ever canceled again. We want this to run for the end of time. Oh, wait, that's the name of an episode, isn't it?
I wish it would break a leg.
Well, I'll play devil's advocate. Do you think, everything has changed since 63. I hate to say this, but we can only pay homage to what has come. But changes in attitude, changes in technology, changes in things in life, and just us evolving into different and more acceptable things. Don't you think that this might be the time to hit the ground running and say, this is it? We have to have a female doctor. I'm with you. I'm kind of, we've changed, but I mean, a lot of things have changed since it came back, like the Time War, changing with the doctors numerically, having them being kissing companions. Is this the direction we should be going? Because there's no way we can go back to the black and white 1963 TV show. Things have got to change for the series to continue on for another 50 years, but is this just the right direction? And I'm saying I hope so.
Maybe I would agree with you if this whole push for a female doctor didn't come in like the last 2 years. If it came somewhere like along the lines of David Tennant's era and the beginning of Matt Smith, then I would understand. But the fact is that it just came out of nowhere, and it just throws on. There's like they're trying to grab reachers for one thing, and I don't like that.
They've been pushing this since Tom Baker slipped it up. When he left the series, Tom Baker was pushing for this, and now here it is. People have been pushing for this, but now lately, since, like I said, changes in attitude, 2017, is this the right direction to go? Is she the right doctor? I'm saying I'm going to sit back, relax, and watch. And Chibnall better be on his A game. And I'm not saying, I'm not proud of Jodie, but she better be on her A game too, because she is going to be scrutinized. She's going to have a lot. She's going to have a lot of history. Everything is riding on her right now.
Okay, we've already got fan reactions coming through right after. I want to read this. This is from Gary DeBaum, who is a DJ on Krypton Radio, the station that carries us. He says, one of two things will happen. Either Chris Chibnall, the new showrunner, hits the ground running and the writers for the upcoming season have some great stories, or it'll be a repeat of some of Capaldi's earlier episodes, which were below par, despite Capaldi being an excellent actor, and the show will fall flat on its face. If that happens, those that will be incensed will say, see, a woman cannot handle the role of a doctor. The thing is, Jodie Whittaker is an excellent actress, so win or lose, it will be in Chibnall's court. I'm hoping this works. I've always said it doesn't matter if the doctor is a white, black, man, woman, tall, short, etc. All that matters is the right person is put in the role. Not everyone can pull it off. I don't think she was cast for the sake of people saying it has to be a woman. I think she was cast because, and I agree with this part that he says here, she was right for the role.
I think that's more of the case. Chibnall's worked with her for Broadchurch, and if you watch Broadchurch, she has the range. She can be funny, she can be sad, she knows when to hit the ball. Can she generate that kind of emotion that is demanding of an alien like the Doctor into her role? Yeah, whatever genitalia they just happen to have, it didn't seem too much to me. Yeah, I like to be consistent. I like to say, why buy a new car when the tire's flat? It's why fix something that's not too broken? Just tweak it and make it better. And with the stories that were going on with Peter Capaldi, they were going in wiry messes. So I don't know. Like I said, I am a lover of Doctor Who. That's why I will not abandon it.
And you realize, guys, what I read from Gary, is very true in the essence that all this time that Capaldi's been the Doctor, we've been saying we love Capaldi. We love the way he's running it. And we do keep putting the blame on Moffat. So that's what it's going to be. This is Chibnall's court. Chibnall made the decision. The BBC agreed with it. Now Chibnall has to put his writing talents and his show-running talents together and give Jodie the best scripts that can be out there, because we need this to work now. And
it has to be this season.
Yeah.
It can't be the next season. It has to be this season.
Right. It has to start. It has to hit the ground running. It can't be a bad season and then get better. It's got to be a great first season.
We all agree that he's got to make this work. He's got to do it within the first 5 minutes of the episode, of the regeneration of the season, including the Christmas special. You're going to have to convince me why Jodie deserves that role. I've seen her in other stuff, being Broadchurch, but I think I've seen her in one other thing. I've seen her in other stuff that her resume works,
Right.
But now is she doctor material? And that is much more demanding than anything I can think of that anybody has ever done in their life.
Yeah.
Not only that, but being the first female, things change. And, 50 years of history riding on you at a critical moment where, ratings and things have not been great. I think Jodie has enough pressure on it, but she looks like she's up for the challenge, or at least with that smirk on her face.
Right.
I think that said it all. I think she said, yeah, okay, it's my turn.
Now, continuity speaking wise, right?
Right.
When she becomes the doctor, right?
Yeah.
She's now a girl, so does that mean that when Capaldi blew himself up, does that rule as a suicide and that's going to count as...
Well, okay, that's if you go with what we were talking about, the big finish.
Yeah.
We had a whole episode on that one.
But that was an Unbound story, an alternate universe, so it may not have anything to do with it. But yeah, for folks who don't know what we're talking about, Big Finish had a series of alternate universe doctors where they had different actors playing the doctor, and there was a female doctor story played by Annabelle Weir as the doctor, and part of the story was that a Time Lord would change sex if the death was a suicide. Now, we have been discussing things like this on previous episodes, but to be honest, it may not come into play.
It should, because you killed two birds with one stone, Missy, and now the doctor.
Yeah.
Because he did kill himself at the end of the season 2.
Right, the Master killed himself and
debated.
became Missy, and, well, he didn't
But
kill
this
himself,
can be-
Missy killed him.
This can be debated upon other regenerations. I meant the Fifth Doctor. He killed himself. He decided not to take the antidote.
But that's not killing yourself. Killing yourself is...
He got killed by poison.
Is killing yourself... Yeah, he got killed by the Spectrix.
So now we have to define what is killing yourself.
If you do it honorably, it's not suicide. If you do it to just end it, that's suicide. The Doctor has never just ended it. Missy shooting her earlier self, that was definitely purposely done, and therefore suicide in the timey-wimey nature of Time Lords. But I don't think...
But Capaldi knew that him blowing up the Cyberman would ultimately have him die as well, so he put the course together. He pretty much blew himself up.
Right, but he was doing it honorably to save the people that he was trying to save to get up to another level and to stop the Cybermen. So I wouldn't call that a suicide. I would call that a heroic death. I don't think the Big Finish comes into play with the Doctor. I think... I mean, we don't know if Corsair killed himself and that's why he changed sex. It is a Big Finish alternate universe. It might have absolutely nothing to do with this. But we'll see in Christmas. And really, a suicide on Christmas, okay, I see your point there. All right, I made your own point for you by me.
No.
Yeah.
Wait. We can argue because when did it actually happen? Nobody knows when it actually happened because Missy turned to the 12th and said, "Are you okay?" At that point,
he was already...
we don't even know when it officially started. We know where the end game, like, okay, you can't get up anymore.
Right.
But even then, it was like, what else?
He may have died in space. He may have started dying in space when he went blind was the first part of his losing his life.
Yep.
Yeah, it could have been going on for quite a while.
So you think that the oxygen deprivation did a lot more than what we thought?
Yeah, that totally could be it. And that was not a suicide. That was selflessly trying to help Bill live.
Are you sure about that?
That was sacrifice, not suicide. There's a difference.
Right.
There's a difference. All right.
So.
Wow. So, you probably already knew that it was Jodie Whittaker by the time you came on to the show because this is, coming on Wednesday or after. But you got to hear our opinions the second we found out that it happened because we are recording this right now. It's around noon EST on Sunday, so it just got announced that we definitely wanted to include this because it is the most important part of the news that we've got for you today. And speaking of which, let's go now to the rest of the news. The Marku 42 news with Christian Basil.
Well, let's say it's a slow news week for Doctor Who.
It's a slow news week. We just announced the
slow news week. We got the new Doc.
I'm totally being sarcastic. We don't have too many articles as far as the news is concerned, believe it or not, but these are gut-punching articles as far as how big these things are coming out now for Doctor Who. Let me go ahead and start off that Doctor Who is going to be coming back to San Diego Comic-Con or San Diego International, whatever you want to call it these days. But it's going to be hosted by Chris Hardwick, and part of the
we don't see his name on this show, sir.
Why not?
I don't know why. That's just something.
It's going to be hosted by some guy who does The Talking Dead. Is that?
Yeah, that's what I'm way of saying it.
So returning to Hall H will be, of course, Peter Capaldi. Pearl Mackie will be making a premiere. Matt Lucas will be making a premiere. Michelle Gomez will be returning. Also, Mark Gatiss and showrunner Stephen Moffat for, I guess, would be his last time as Doctor Who showrunner, as well as Peter being the Doctor. But yes, they will be coming to San Diego Comic-Con. The panel itself will be taking place on the 23rd.
Which means you have to get online on the 20th.
You have to pitch the tent outside on the 20th. But yeah, the panel will be taking place Sunday the 23rd. And that is the weekend before that he will be coming with us to SuperCon. So he's going to be on two coasts on either weekend, which is interesting there.
Yeah.
With a whole lot of cash.
I mean, leaving the show, he didn't make a lot of money doing the show, but he's making the big bucks doing these conventions, I'll tell you that.
Somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
You become an Avenger or you become something else on TV. But you think he's tone it down, or do you think he's going to do something? Or do you think he's just going to settle down and just say, hey, listen, I did Doctor Who. I'm good. I don't need to be in an Avengers movie. I don't need to take off. This is it.
Well, I mean, he had a great career beforehand. I think it'll just keep going. San Diego Comic-Con is also going to have that preview of the Christmas episode, from what I understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they should be showing that over there. But yes, that is the rumor that the Christmas preview will be airing at San Diego Comic-Con. So definitely be on your YouTubes ready to type in the words Christmas Special 2017 Doctor Who.
Cool.
Speaking of which, can we talk about image steals?
Yeah.
What you got?
Okay, so I saw image stills of the Christmas special, and they had the two TARDISes, one being the 12th Doctors, and of course the one being the first Doctors. And the first Doctor looks different than the 12th Doctors, which is obviously supposed to. But I'm looking at this as like they've acknowledged that the two TARDIses look different.
Right.
So are they going to acknowledge that, or at least give an explanation of why the chameleon circuit changes but doesn't change?
Well, the chameleon circuit doesn't work on the outside, but there are different control rooms inside, and the architectural configuration changes things up inside. That works. The architectural configuration works. It's just the outside chameleon circuit that doesn't work.
Yeah, the outside is what's different about it. Like the first Doctor's is because if you look at the still, it's considerably smaller and a darker blue than the St. John's TARDIS. Are they going to explain that? I hope they do, because at this point they're acknowledging it.
In Attack of the Cybermen with Colin Baker, he got it working for a while, so maybe when he got it broken again, it was in a new style or something. I mean, I don't think they're going to make a big deal about that, but I think
there's 8 different TARDISes out there, aren't there?
They'll make a big deal about the inside more than the outside, I think.
I know, but it would just be just a nice explanation of why it's still a police box, but the dimensions and the colors change.
Well, we'll see. That's all we can hope for. Any other news, Christian?
Well, speaking of Classic Who, I don't know if that was a segue or not, but anyway, speaking of Classic Who, Retro TV is going to be producing more ads for the classic serial. Not too much to say on that one. It's just that they've made an announcement, and I think Whovians are happy, especially Classic Who people like me, unfortunately, who do not get Retro TV, but I think you do, Mark. But yeah, they'll be running more ads for the Classic Who.
They'll also be running more episodes. Some of the episodes
they'll be running
that they
more
have.
Episodes.
So War Games you'll be able to watch on Retro TV, and you'll be able to watch some Peter Davison episodes that aren't included in the original package that'll be on. And, they'll just have a few more things that if you've been following Retro TV, they'll be switching it up a bit.
I am still waiting for Retro TV to go on Comcast, because I would really like to watch that on TV.
It would be good on Comcast or Bright House or any of the cable networks. The only way to get it now, at least in my area, is to have one of the HD TV antennas and get it over the air. For some reason, they're not getting cable coverage, and I don't get it because it's a local channel, depending on where you are. And I thought that the cable companies had to run local channels. So I don't know why it's not on there.
Every time I see disputes with CBS is having an argument with this cable company, or ABC is having a dispute, or Fox is having a dispute with that, and you're going to lose all your channels. I'm just like, who's having a fight this week? I mean, for a while, it was like every week, it was like somebody was having a fight with a cable company.
Right.
And one of the things I really appreciate now, especially now with things like Retro TV and that app, the Brit TV app, what was it?
BritBox.
BritBox.
I love BritBox.
I like the fact that the classic series is getting its day in the sunlight. It's starting to come to its fruition, and it's not that expensive. If you want to see something on TV, either you can watch it on Retro TV if you happen to have the cable provider that has it, or you can get BritBox, and it's less than $10 a month.
It's $6.99 a month.
$6.99 a month,
yeah.
And even though we're plugging for them, I just think that now that we have venues, you don't have to go and wait at the local store and then spend $35 for an episode. Yeah, you can just watch it yourself and say, hey, I'm just going to watch this episode. So I'm really happy and excited that the classic series is coming back out in the sunlight where people can see it, appreciate it. And for new Whovians that are coming to the series and go, well, where can I see classic? Now we can actually say, that was one of the hardest things to say at the panels. It's like, where can we see classic Who? And it was only Amazon Prime.
Well, you know what?
In legal terms.
Legal terms, yeah.
What's interesting about BritBox and how gung-ho they are with Doctor Who, at the top of the screen when you have BritBox, it gives you your selections. You got new, you got returning, and then there's a permanent choice, classic Doctor Who, at the top of the page. And no other show has a listing that you can just jump to it without searching or going to categories or whatever. Classic Doctor Who is a button at the top of the page. So they are gung-ho on Doctor Who at BritBox. And my check better be in the mail, BBC and ITV, because
And with BritBox, they can actually pick their episode. Like, I feel like the War Games right now, or is it something that cycles through like Pandora?
No, they've got the 26 seasons, every episode that is intact.
All right. And without further ado, with all the things that are going on, that is it. So happy birthday not only to Mark Baumgarten, our showrunner of Mark Who 42 creator, but the day after, on July the 16th, happy birthday Rachel Talele, director of the last 3 seasons. Yeah, the last 3 series of, everything that Peter Capaldi's done with the season finale, that's been Rachel Talele directing, and she is scheduled to direct the Christmas episode, which will be the end run for not only Stephen Moffat as being a showrunner, but Peter Capaldi as being the Doctor. So this is very exciting time for Whovians this week.
Can you believe that Rachel Talele didn't even know who the 13th Doctor was until that announcement? She didn't know.
I saw her posting that she was
direct the last scene. She didn't direct the end of it.
I guess she will be directing that now, so she will know. Well, also, I think if I'm correct, Daphne actually goes, I've been talking to Stephen Moffat. She was doing this over at the event at the Coliseum. And she was going like, I was talking to Stephen Moffat. I know who the 13th Doctor is. And they went like, not. In fact, Stephen and I don't talk at all. She was great. When she goes into a crowd, she has a great time with them. The fans were having a great time there. So happy birthday to you two. And yeah, I'm excited to get this series started. I'm ready to get to the Christmas special, and new things are coming.
I want to give a special happy anniversary to my favorite thing to ever exist, Apollo 11. Today, Commander Neil Armstrong, Lunar Module Pilot Buzz Aldrin, and Command Module Pilot Michael Collins all went up to the moon today, 48 years ago. And I just want to put that there because I feel like everyone should know of America's greatest adventure. Well, not just America's greatest adventure, but humanity's greatest adventure. And as time goes on, people tend to forget all the great things that humanity has done, especially with these troubling times right now. So thank you, everyone that's still alive that was part of those greatest glory days of NASA and whatnot.
Well, happy birthday, you guys getting older and...
We're getting older. We're getting wiser. We're getting older, but we're getting wiser.
That thought helps you sleep tonight. Go for it.
It will help me sleep tonight. The alcohol helped me sleep tonight last night.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Let's take a break here, and when we come back, we are going to have Patty Hawkins talking with Daphne Ashbrook about Doctor Who and her career afterwards. We'll be right back here on Mark Who 42.
This portion of Mark Who 42 has been brought to you by Harlequin Cosplay and Crafts. You can go to our site right now, markwho42.net, and click on her icon. Make sure to use promo code MarkWho42 for free shipping of any of her cosplay images and merchandise. And you will see Amelia Poole, yeah, that's her real name, Amelia Poole, who runs the site. She's going to be at the Space Coast Comic-Con and a lot more other conventions coming up on the Space Coast. She usually hangs around there in Central Florida. Gorgeous woman. Absolutely gorgeous. You got to see her Harley Quinn cosplay. You got to see her Dana from Ghostbusters. I mean, just a beautiful woman all that. And she actually does some crafts, including, I guess, what they call the Cobb hat, the Firefly hat that Jane Cobb uses.
Right.
She's got merchandise up there. Check it out. Tell her once you see her anywhere, Mark Who 42 sent you.
Don't go away. Don't go away. We'll be back with more Mark Who 42 after this.
Mark Who 42 is proud to have Famous Faces and Funnies. This is a huge, mega comic book store. I mean, they just have literally tons and tons of comic books, novelties, everything. They're located off of 3020 New Haven Avenue in West Melbourne. And if you want to give them a call and just let them know Mark Who 42 sent you, it's 321-259-3575. But this thing is just a huge, I mean, you've seen comic book stores and nothing against them, but you've seen them, these tiny little shops, and they have comic books and they have merchandise and memorabilia and such like that. This place is like the best term I can put is the Costco of comic book shops. So you go from one store and there's another section and it's just huge. They have Funkos, they have tons and tons and tons of stuff in there. I mean, it's hard to explain, but if you have any geekdom out there, Famous Faces and Funnies have got it covered for you, from Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars, everything. And also Rick is the guy who runs it, and all the team over there, nice, friendly people. Definitely want to check out our friends at Famous Faces and Funnies in the West Melbourne area if you're out there.
Hello, I'm Nicholas Briggs, the voice of many monsters on Doctor Who, and executive producer of Big Finish Productions. And I'm pleased to announce that Mark Who 42 Books have joined forces with Big Finish to bring you Big Finish Audio.
There's this fella who calls himself the Doctor, and he says he has saved me, and we are in his time machine.
You all right? I think I've broken something. What about you?
Yes, I'm fine, thanks.
I rather think I broke your fall.
Oh, sorry.
Mark Who 42 Books will now offer to bring you the best in Big Finish audio.
But why are they here?
How do you do?
I beg your pardon?
Oh, no need to. I'm the Doctor, and this is...
I am Leela.
By all means, please do come out to play, Doctor. I'm waiting for you.
To find where Mark Who 42 Books will be, go to markwho42.net or on their Facebook site at markwho42.
What are you saying? They fizzled in somehow, like the TARDIS?
Yeah, transmat from another dimension. The TARDIS doesn't fizzle. It's more of a...
Also go to markwho42.net and download my interview with the team.
You're executive producer at Big Finish Productions.
Correct.
Correct.
Is this a quiz?
Mark Who 42, taking you to the Whoniverse and beyond.
Hi, this is Cindy Morgan, but you probably know me as Yori in Tron or Lacey Underall in Caddyshack. And you're listening to Mark Who 42.
Welcome back to Mark Who 42. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten, and now we present the second half. We had our first half last week. The second half of our interview with Daphne Ashbrook, as conducted by our own Patty Hawkins.
All right, so, well, we're coming to the big one. So, all right, you've been asked this a billion times, so let's just take the beginning. When did you get approached about, and how did you get approached about this pilot that wasn't really a pilot for a reboot of a series that most people haven't heard of?
Right, not in the States anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just another audition. I mean, they sent me the script and I really loved it. I loved the role. I loved the regeneration stuff. I didn't know anything about Doctor Who, so I thought the name was weird. You know, I was like, what is this? But I loved the quirkiness of it. I loved the writing between, you know, the Doctor and Grace was great. And I loved the whole idea of it. So I was a fan on that level. I went in, auditioned. They called me back. I went and did another audition, and really easy, man. It was like I've had to audition sometimes for months to get a part. This one, it was fairly painless. I got the part, found out that Paul McGann was playing the Doctor. I knew him from having seen With Nell and I, so I was a fan already. I was excited about working with him, especially since we worked almost exclusively together. I mean, we just were in everything almost the entire time together. Oh, yeah. So you're just hoping you're going to...
You, him, and the wig.
Right. All three of us. He hates that wig.
I know. I tease him mercilessly about it constantly.
He hated it, but I remember that he showed up with no hair because he had just done some kind of military show and they'd buzzed his hair off, and I know that everybody was kind of shocked when he showed up with no hair, so they had to scramble.
Well, that was, and again, those pre-internet days in Starlight Magazine, when they announced this, that was the first picture we all saw, was just him looking very stern with the buzz cut, and everybody's like, is he going to look like that? You know, we don't know. And yeah, it wasn't until later they saw the promo, which is, okay, well, they're giving him as close to Tom Baker hair as they can get away with, and okay, fair enough.
It was actually, I think, when Philip Siegel decided that he really wanted to have him, he had his own long hair, and he was in that. I think it was in that thing with his brothers. He had this great long curly hair, and I think that was part of what Philip Siegel really liked about the way he looked was that hair, you know. So they went to the trouble of making sure they found some hair for him. Much to the chagrin of Paul. He hates that wig. But I gotta say, interestingly, the next guy who picked up the baton there had short hair. And I know I've heard Paul say this, that he wanted to dress the way Eccleston ended up getting to dress when he played the Doctor. So, interestingly, I think Paul would have gone in that direction much earlier on than Doctor Who ended up being able to do. But yeah, no, I thought his costume was cool. I thought the whole John Hancock, or no.
Wild Bill Hickok.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that whole look. I thought it looked good on him. And I didn't think the wig was as bad as people say. I really don't.
No, I don't either. I mean, it gave it a good look. It made him, look, like it made him look anachronistic for the time and everything else. It worked. And I'm a staunch proponent of the movie and what it attempted to be. Philip is one of my Doctor Who heroes, for lack of a better term, for the fact that the war that he had to fight to keep it in continuity, to keep the integrity and everything else matching the original series, and basically keeping the pilot light on. And
I got to tell you, I feel the same exact way. I didn't even know that whole backstory until many years later when I was in the UK, and we couldn't get the movie over here, so I just went and bought myself a copy of the film on DVD. And in that box set was about 6 hours worth of interviews. And one of the things, and I ended up having to drive all across the UK from London all the way to Newcastle for whatever I was doing over there. I think I was doing convention. And while I was in the car, I just sat in the back seat and played all of the interviews, and I learned so much and was so glad that I did not know all of this when I was shooting it, because I think the pressure would have been too much. But Philip Siegel, he fought for 7 years to get that thing going and went through so many close calls. Even Steven Spielberg at one point was involved, and then that fell through. And
the Nimoy thing, and
huge
And meanwhile, that woman, who I will not name, was just being rather beastly about the whole thing in the interviews. So, well, we didn't want Sylvester McCoy because he killed Doctor Who. Like, no, the BBC killed Doctor. Yeah, Again, Philip Davis Eagle, wherever you are, I would love to meet him. I'd love to just shake his hand. I'd love to just thank him for going to bat so many times in so many ways and fighting and fighting and fighting.
And if you think about it, what they were asking, because, bringing in an audience and a whole country that was largely ignorant to what Doctor Who was, and deciding that they were going to take this opportunity in 1 hour and a half-ish to educate a country on 30 years of history, respecting the classic series, bridging the gap, the 7-year gap, and hopefully relaunching the series. So you wanted to modernize it. You wanted to tip of the hat to the old series. You needed to serve a huge audience that was largely ignorant of the whole thing and not bore the huge audience that already knew Doctor Who. So they were really walking a tight wire. And when I look at that, I think they pretty much managed to serve all of those masters. Forgive the pun.
No, you're absolutely correct.
So I'm proud of it for that reason. I mean, you can see that it's dated now, but it still stands on its own and in a big way, I think. And you can really see the bridge, can't you, from the old to the new?
Well, that was always the biggest mystery, too, that, I'm not even sure the BBC knew if it was going to, at the beginning, when the Davies years, if they were going to legitimize your guys' project. Because it was like, well, what's going on with the McGann years and everything else? And it wasn't until, I think, late in the first, I forget what episode it was, when you saw the snippets of the previous Doctor, and we all breathed a sigh of exultation and relief when we saw McGann in there. So, oh, good, it's canon! Oh, thank God! We all breathed easily. So.
Yes, and so, yeah, the Doctor, the number 8, exists and is definitely a part of that chain. Unfortunately, the characters of Grace and Chang Li are still owned by Universal. So those characters cannot be reignited at Big Finish or any of the other opportunities they might have to bring those characters back. So those characters are still kind of locked down in kind of this limbotic kind of state of, wish we could, but we can't. And so I recently started thinking I should just go and call Universal and see if I can find out what the deal is with those characters. But whatever. I mean, I was certainly enormously honored now that I know what I know, which I did not know at the time. I'm just so honored that I got to be involved and got to work with Paul, which was lovely. I really had a great time working with him. It made me, I say this all the time, he made me a better actor, and he was a great partner. I felt like we really worked well together, and he was one of the few actors I've worked with where he never let the ball drop. You hit the ball over the net and he hit it right back. So it was just a luxury to work with him and made the shoot all that much better of an experience for me. And now I'm lucky enough to be a part of that family to some degree for the rest of my life.
Well, actually, let me talk a little bit about that, because rather than go into the usual, what was your favorite scene stuff as it is, I'd be more curious to hear, because I know you told those stories before. At what point, after this was in the can and it broadcast, at what point did you start getting knocks on the doors saying, hey, you want to come to a convention? And you were like, what's a convention? At what point did you begin to realize the underground fandom that was Doctor Who fandom at the time?
Well, interestingly, I'm not going to lie. I had gone to one of the Gallifrey 1 conventions, the oldest running convention, I think, ever for Doctor Who over here.
Yeah.
In 98. It took me a while to remember that I was there because I really didn't experience it like I do conventions nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
I showed up for one panel. Philip Siegel was on this panel. I did it with him. So I did the one panel. I didn't know anything. I hadn't done any research. I hadn't looked at any of the other episodics from the old times, from the classic series. I had not educated myself, and I was extremely nervous. I was not good at doing interviews at all, and being in front of people as myself was just sort of like a nightmare for me at the time. It was just, I wasn't prepared, didn't know how to do it. No, I felt like an imposter. So was very scary. But I got through that one panel, and I guess I did one interview with Gary Russell after that, and then I left. You know, I wasn't involved in any more of it. And I'd forgotten that had happened. So it wasn't until 2004 when I was contacted from some unknown person at the time in the UK who wanted me to sign some Doctor Who cards.
Okay.
They sent me some cards. So I signed all these cards and I sent them back. And then that same person contacted me again and said, hey, would you come over and do one of these conventions? And I was like, well, again, I'm not going to lie. I don't know what a convention is. I've never been to one. What do I have to do? Number one, and when is it? And it was during the school year, and my daughter was in school at the time, and so I couldn't leave. And I said, well, I'd love to, but I really can't. If you can do something in the summer months, maybe I can bring my daughter with me and I could do something then. And so he did set up a trip in 2004. And I went over there and we shot a little documentary called Daphne in the UK. And then Derek Hambley is the person who asked me to come over for that. And he set up different interviews and stuff. And I went around London and we shot stuff. And it was a great experience. And I did bring my daughter, and my mother came. She had newly retired. And so she came too. And we made a thing of it. And it was really lovely. But I still hadn't really experienced the full-on Doctor Who convention thing. And that wasn't until, I think, 2006 or something. I could be wrong on that, but it wasn't long after that I went over and I did a convention, a real convention.
Right.
And then, of course, realized that there was this big, huge convention at Gallifrey 1 here, and I went to that several times. And so I started to learn about what the expanse of this thing, this fandom. And I got better. Gary Russell, God bless him, taught me how to do interviews and not freak out. And he was great. And he just made me comfortable. And he was working with Big Finish at the time. So I did my first Big Finish with him. He directed me in that. And I'd never done one of those. So I was a little nervous on that score. Oh, and that was in 2004 as well. I did a Big Finish when I was over there. I did the first one with Paul. And that was the first time I'd seen Paul since we wrapped the movie. So,
wow.
That was a little nerve-wracking. But like I said, Gary's great. And for whatever reason, whenever I see Paul, it's like no time has passed. It's almost like we have this ongoing conversation that just picks up where it left off every time I see him. It's so weird.
Well, if I may be so bold to say, neither of you look like you've aged a day.
Bless your heart.
I mean that with all said. I've been on stage with Paul, and I've been this close to him, and I was just like, you were in that vampire movie, but I'm beginning to think,
We made a pact with the devil. Oh, bless your heart. No, thank you. Thank you for that.
So, yeah, I do sympathize, and actually that's why I started my sideline work, which is basically like sitting with talent on stage to just help them along the ways, because in those early days, throwing somebody out there and getting the very deep inner lore geek questions that you're unprepared for, and yeah, so I sympathize, and for what it's worth for me, I thank you for sticking with it, and I thank you for continuing to get out there and giving the fandom your time and your energy. I really appreciate it.
I gotta interject here real quick. One of the things I've learned about myself is that I actually really love meeting people. I love it. I was terrified of it when I first started doing it. I felt, like I said, like an imposter. I was very tongue-tied. I felt like an ignoramus. I didn't have anything to really offer. Why would anyone want to know what I think about anything? It was embarrassing. It was just nerve-wracking. I've since gotten much better at just sort of going with the flow and realizing, hey, if, don't judge anybody. If they want to ask you a question, just answer it. And I've learned to do that, but my favorite thing is meeting people, and I interview people. That's what I do. Mm-hmm. When I go to these things, I want to know where you're from, how long it took you to get here, how long have you been a Doctor Who fan? I mean, I interview people, which I'm much more interested in than talking about my stuff. I already know my stupid stuff. I want to know about you. So when I was shooting my short, Once More with Feeling, I took a year off because I was working on the film. And I realized when I was finally going to do another convention that I was really excited and I'd really missed it. And so it's a real gift for me because I actually really enjoy doing them. I love going and seeing people. I love going to places I haven't been before, all over the world. I've gotten to do so much traveling and seeing new people and new places with this one common thread. And so it's really a great gift in my life. And so I thank the fans for hanging in there and being interested at all in what I might have to say about anything.
You're in the Doctor Who family. We're always going to be interested in anything you say. Trust me. And for whatever it's worth, again, I do a lot of shows, and you always hear things about stuff, and I have never heard a bad thing about you ever.
Oh,
you've always been held as a wonderful guest and wonderful with the fans, and again, thank you for that. And I only do that people that I hear that things about it too, because I've dealt with some people that not so good to the fans as I think they should be. Especially, as far as I'm concerned, it's a gig. You're on the clock, and if you don't want to be there, you shouldn't have taken the shilling.
Yeah, that's a mystery to me. I don't really understand it. I know that the people that I've met that are in Doctor Who, the people that I've gotten to know pretty much across the board are just lovely human beings. I mean, they're good people and they enjoy doing what they do. I mean, the occasional caveat to that, there's the people are by and large just really enjoy what they're doing, but every once in a while, there's something that happens. And again, I don't really get it. I don't understand. But you know what? I met people like that across the board in the business, where I'd come on to do a guest star gig somewhere, and I'm working with people that are getting paid very well for what they're doing. And they're working all the time, which is, what all actors would like to be doing, I think, is having a regular gig, because God knows it gets old having to come and kind of go out and prove yourself over and over again just to get another job. But if you've got a regular gig and you're getting paid well and you happen to be on a hit series, I don't understand why you're not in a good mood.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, everybody has a bad day. I'm not saying we're all human beings and our real go up and down too. So you got to cut people some slack, but at the same time, if it's kind of a regular deal and there's a reputation involved, it's just sad, because you'd wish they could appreciate what they've got and enjoy themselves, and certainly not leave people feeling less than when you leave their presence. I don't see the reason for that at all. And I've made a lot of really great friends all over the planet. So they're beautiful people. So I just, I don't know. I don't get it, but I have a good time. Yay. He is a fabulous person and I adore him and he loves what he's doing. I know Paul loves it. I know Sil loves it. Sylv and, and everybody else that I've met, pretty much. I mean,
I had a great time on stage with, I was with Eric and Paul for an hour and we just had a blast. And I guess I caught Eric on a good day and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, you know what? I worked with him a couple times last year, and he was lovely. He was absolutely lovely. He just was having a great time. His wife is lovely. He was very sweet to everyone. It was really an enjoyable experience. And
he's got that Matthew McConaughey, yeah, man.
Yeah, very much. And we do have to take into consideration that it's not everybody's cup of tea.
Absolutely.
Be sort of themselves in front of people. It can be disconcerting. And so maybe people just don't adjust very well to that. That could be an explanation. Who knows? But yeah, you're right. If you're going to do it, you might as well show up and have a good time, and help other people have a good time. Because
the show must go on.
That's right, darn it. Theater background comes into play.
Pretty much.
We'll be back with more of our interview with Daphne Ashbrook right after these messages here on Mark Who 42.
Don't go away. We'll be back with more Mark Who 42 after this.
And I'd like to say right now, Mark Who 42 is proud to have 9.9 Comics as a sponsor for our show. 9.9 Comics, if you're out in Brevard County, this is one of the places to go and visit. They've just started recently, and they're located off of 1284 Sarno Road in the Melbourne area. They're starting out, but I met Matt and the team, and they are just really, really, as far as customer service is concerned, phenomenal. It's a really great store. They were telling me about a point system, Mark, and forgive me, I'm not familiar with it, but that's where the 9.9 comes from. When you go to a comic book store, some comics are just laying out there loose, and for everybody to read and such like that. And every time somebody picks it up, it kind of depreciates over time. Not in this store. Every comic is protected. In fact, you can't even read the comics. They're all protected for your pleasure. So if you want to keep these comics for longevity and possibly later on try to sell them to make money off of them, they have every comic sealed up and protected. It's just phenomenal. Not only that, but one of the things I love about this comic shop is they sponsor the Candlelighters of Brevard. Now, these folks are a nonprofit organization that take care of children in the Brevard area who are suffering from cancer. So if you want more information on them, go to www.candlelightersofbrevard.org. If you want more information about the charity that they sponsor, and definitely go on their Facebook site at 9.9 Comics. Can't miss it. Matt and the team are wonderful. Go visit them out there and tell them that Marku42 sent you.
The voice of Christian Basil, take one.
Hi, I'm Christian Basil, and I would like to provide my voice for all your voiceover needs, such as...
Okay, like an announcer.
Like a what?
Like an announcer.
For all your voiceover needs, such as animation, radio, announcements, introductions...
Now an old man.
I can even record voicemail for all the Meshuggahs that call you.
A pirate.
Arr, and it won't cost you a lot of treasure for me services. Arr.
Creepy movie voice.
Just call 407-761-2679. 407-761-2679. Or email voiceofchristianbasil@yahoo.com. Well, how was that?
That's a wrap.
I'm Colin Baker, and you are listening to Marku42, the meaning of life.
We're back with more of Marku42. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten, and now the conclusion of our interview with Daphne Ashbrook by Patty Hawkins.
I'll ask you just this then about the pilot. What's your favorite memory from it?
I have a few.
I'm sure.
That they come to mind. I really enjoyed. It's a little tiny scene. I've talked about it before, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself to you, but there's that little scene in the elevator before I know who he is, and when he's trying to figure out who he is and who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got the toe tag on, and he's just up in my grill. I'm standing there. I've just quit my job. I've got my box of stuff in my arms, and I'm pissed off. And we're in the elevator, and he's just up in my grill staring at me, and I'm thinking, oh, geez, what's this all about? What have I got here? And I just love that scene. It just cracks me up. Every time I see it, I laugh. And so that's one of my favorite moments. I also really love the scene in the ambulance. I remember being a little challenged by that because I knew it was really a quick repartee, real fast,
sure.
Really quick. Got to make sense of it, and you got to be on the mark. And I love the writing, so I just felt like the timing all worked, and Eric was in that too. It was a nice little scene there that I thought was really fun, and I knew it was a challenge, so I felt like we kind of got there for it. So it was nice. I liked that one. Yeah. And then ultimately, I love this, just my memories of sitting around in the dark, because we shot primarily at night.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just there in our director's chairs, in the dark with me and Paul and Sylvester. And I was just getting to know those guys. And they were trying to give me a dialect lesson. And I was terrible. And it was just the funniest moment. I couldn't stop laughing, and the die was cast at that point. Everything was fun. We just laughed so much of the time. And so, yeah, it was just a pure joy. And those guys are hilarious, and they love each other. And so that was a really fun moment. Just that I remember just thinking, this is the most fun job ever. It's just great.
Cool. Speaking of great things, let's talk a little bit about your upcoming film, Once More with Feeling. Tell us about that.
Well, I can't say too much because if I do, the impact of, if you see it, it will kill the impact of it.
So tell us what you can. How's that?
It's there are only two people in it. It was inspired by a true story that I went up several years ago to Joshua Tree, which is, if you know it, it's one of the most amazing places on the planet. It's just got all these crazy rock formations. It's in the high desert.
It's not just an album title, kids. It's real.
Yeah, it's not. But if you've seen the pictures, and if you've seen things like, I think Galaxy Quest shot there, one of my other faves.
Oh yeah.
And
the third greatest Star Trek movie ever made.
I just love it. But yeah, it's got these crazy rock formations that you just can't find anywhere else. These crazy Joshua trees, and it's just beautiful. It's almost like Joshua Tree. We shot the movie up there, and it was almost like that was the third character in the show. Anyway, so I went up there many years ago just as a tourist, and I have a little problem with heights, but I didn't think about it when I was climbing up a rock because it seemed like the easiest rock in the world to climb up. It was not a difficult climb, and it wasn't that high. But man, when I turned around to come down and I couldn't see the ground. I couldn't see the rock connect to the ground. The rock was very rounded. So all of a sudden it just looked like it dropped off. And my whole phobia of heights kicked in. And I basically just laid down on the rock, couldn't move, was stuck there for like an hour and a half, terrified, absolutely terrified, had all these crazy thoughts going on in my head. They're going to have to call the fire department and they're going to, put the ladder up, chink, 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 chink. And these firemen are going to have to crawl up this ladder and say, ma'am, if you just grab onto the ladder, you can come. And I'm, don't touch me, don't touch me. So I was like mortified if that were the case. And then I thought, oh, they could always like bring one of those helicopters in, and lower the ladder down, trying to lift me off the rock that way. And those two thoughts were just so mortifying. I just was like, please God, no, don't make this happen, that I forced myself off that rock. And it was a long, long, hard thing to do. My daughter, who was 12 years old at the time, was like running up and down. She was like, she had no problem. She was going up and down the rock going, and she'd come up and go, Mom, it's really okay. It's really okay, Mom. And I'm like, just don't touch me. So I'm freaking out. And at the same time that I'm trying to control myself, because I felt like I was going to vomit at any moment, I kept thinking, this is one of the funniest things. I mean, if somebody walked by and saw this person stuck like a barnacle on this rock for this hour and a half period, they would just laugh because it was just stupid. It was funny, It's not like my life was really in danger, but boy, did it feel that way. So I wrote a short after that about that moment. And I thought, this is funny. And it was the only short I'd ever written. I've written a lot, but most feature length, mostly features. So I, several years go by and I decide it's time to put my money where my mouth is and I'm going to produce a film. And I thought a great way to get my feet wet and to learn about working on that side of the camera, producing and writing and all that. I dusted off this old short that I'd written. And so, yeah, that's sort of the inspiration for it. It turned into a lot more than that, obviously, but it's kind of a love story. And it's about these two people that have had some real obstacles in their lives. And it's about kind of overcoming a lot of fear. And that's where I will leave it. And I think it turned out all right. It's not perfect, but it's not bad for a first try. I'm pretty proud of it.
All right, and so it's going to be at the film circuits, trying to get it out there at the indies?
I'm going to try to get it into some festivals as soon as it's completed.
Sure.
Basically doing a little bit of an audio cleanup that is almost there, and then I just have to tweak some of the stuff in the credits and watermark that baby and get it out there. So hopefully before the end of the year I'll be able to start doing that. And I have a lot of donors. We did a fundraiser with Indiegogo, and so we have some people that are owed a copy, and so they'll be getting their copies soon. So that's happening, and now I'm also working on another short that is a spoof, and all I can really say about that is it's called Outlandish, and there will be many actors in it who people in the Doctor Who world will recognize.
Okay.
I think it's really funny. So I'm working on a location for that, and hopefully we'll be able to get that done this year as well. And then my pilot that I was talking about before, that is something that I've been working on for a long time. It's science fiction, but it's not all that fiction. It's some fiction.
Sure.
But it's based on a true thing, a real thing, and something that our government was doing back in 1978. It's got great legs. I think it would make a fabulous series. And it's been a long time coming, and I've got a writer that I'm working with right now who I told about it, and he's like, oh, you got to get that done. You got to get that done. So he's inspired me to kind of pick it up and start tweaking it and perfecting it and getting it ready to actually take somewhere and hopefully sell the darn thing and get it up and running. There's a lot of different places you can go these days to try to get a series going. And so I think the field is wide open. So that's sort of where I stand on all of that.
Sounds good. And you got some musical achievements as well, right? A couple albums?
Yeah, I've got a couple albums. My first album, tip of the hat to my character in the movie, called Grace Notes. I'm a, Joni Mitchell fan, hugely, and Patty Griffin and Sean Colvin and Carole King. And I've got some other weird mixes in there too. So that first album came out several years ago. I don't even know when that came out now. I don't even know. 2012? I don't know. But anyway, and I've done another album since then called All Good Dreamers. And it's just a bunch of cover tunes that I love. And the second one is much more acoustic guitar, pretty much only acoustic guitar and singing. I used to do a lot of musicals, and so I know how to carry a tune, and I've been encouraged to do that. And honestly, Grace Notes came about when my daughter was getting ready to leave to move to New York and go to college. And we were singing a Joni Mitchell tune in the lobby of a doctor's office, and the acoustics were incredible in there. And she started singing harmonies on I think it was Blue, Joni Mitchell's Blue. And it was amazing. It sounded incredible. And I was like, oh my God, okay. So I told her that I was going to do this thing, and my birthday was rolling around. And I said, okay, she didn't have anything for my birthday. So I said, I know what you can give me for my birthday. You have to go into the studio and do some backup singing for the album. And she's like, oh, no. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. You didn't come with a gift, so that's what you're going to do. And she did. And so she's all over the first album, and she can sing like nobody's business. So I love the sound on that album because I hear my daughter all over it. She's incredible. So if you want to check out Peyton Ashbrook's website, you'll hear some music on that site. You'll see what I'm talking about. So unfortunately, she was already in New York going to Juilliard, didn't have any time to do any of my backup singing for my second album. So sadly, she's not on that one, but she's all over the first one. And you can pick either one of those albums up at my store on my website, DaphneAshbrook.com.
That's right. And what's your preferred social media outlet so people can keep up with you and find out when and where they can get your next album or finally see Once More with Feeling?
Well, I'll tell you, I have a Once More with Feeling Facebook page.
Okay.
I also have an official Daphne Ashbrook page, so you can go there and find out what's going on most of the time. And then with my website's working, which it is right now, yay, I can post things there. I have a nice big blog there, and I try to get my announcements up on that, which of course posts in Twitter and Tumblr. So I'm all over the place.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And Christian would never forgive me if I don't put in the cheap plug that your banner on your Twitter page is you and all of your Doctor Who peers holding the traveling TARDIS. And
oh yeah. That was at a gig last year, and I love that picture because it's the only one that exists with almost all of the main cast. I think all of the main cast. It's Sylvester, Paul, Yuji, me, Eric, his wife, and Jeremy Raddick, who was also in Doctor Who. It's such a comprehensive kind of glimpse. I don't know if we'll ever all be in the same place again. So I love that picture.
Well, never say never.
No, you never know.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, Daphne, thank you so much for spending all this time with us. Is there anything else you want to tell people about what's coming up in the future we should be aware of?
Gosh, I don't think
I think we covered it all, right? Okay. Nah, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Well, again, Daphne, on behalf of Marco 42 and all of our listeners, thank you so much for hanging with us. Thanks for humoring me with going deep into the past. Hey, thanks again. And anytime you want to come back on and got something else new you want to share with us, door is always open.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it and had a great time.
Awesome.
Oh, it was great having Daphne on again, wasn't it, guys? Oh, yeah.
Indeed.
Oh, I love Daphne Ashbrook. She's great. Patty, thank you very much for conducting that two-part interview with her. And definitely, guys, I want to say again, Jodie Whittaker! Wow, the 13th Doctor! Wow.
We're thinking about it.
I've been listening to the interview, but at the same time in the back of my head, I'm thinking Jodie Whittaker, and the name is running through my head over and over.
So now the lineup with no numbers attached: William, Patrick, John, Tom, Peter. Colin, Sylvester, Paul, John with an H now, Christopher, David, Matt, Peter number 2, and now Jodie. Just kind of rings off the tongue there. But
it does. Yeah. It's more to memorize here at Mark Who 42. More trivia that we have to get into our pudding brains.
Listen, bottom line is this. It's happened. It's already started. The ground's already been, they've already hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. I love Doctor Who. I don't care who's in the role. I do a little bit, but I'm willing to give it a shot. What the hell?
Yeah.
What the hell? I wish Chris and Jodie the best to make sure that this series continues to run for another 50 years and beyond me. So I hope this is the point where everything changes in the good way, and I am excited. And for anything else, I would say, Jodie, congratulations. Welcome aboard the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Welcome aboard now. You are part of it.
Yeah. And, Jodie's had to keep this secret for a while now. And I really don't know how she did it, because all the other spoilers were coming out and this stayed secret. She really kept stum. She really didn't say a word. She was quiet. Chris Chibnall held it. And, I just find
it's interesting. She was part of the running. I mean, when people were placing their bets upon who was going to be, she was in there. So,
and from what I understand, she was starting to really get high in the betting pool. That the odds were going down all this
Yesterday,
week.
she was tied with Chris Marshall.
Yeah.
In the betting pool.
I mean, at my birthday party, we were talking about, they were asking me, Mark, you're Mark Who 42. Who's the new doctor? You can tell us. We won't tell anyone. So I told them, all right, it's going to be Chris Marshall. I was wrong. Mark Who 42 was wrong. I've been wrong before, but, I was looking for Chris Marshall. I thought he'd make a good doctor, but I am not unhappy with this announcement.
I'm going with the ride. I'm not going to criticize. I'm not going to judge. This is my doctor. He is my doctor, and that's the way it's going to be, and I'm not going to disavow it. Maybe it's time, guys, that things change, and, people don't like change. People just, cannot stand change.
Right.
And I really hope, because I had a theory that, she would come on, it would be the highest rated episode, and then the people who didn't care about Doctor Who just wanted the first Doctor will leave, and the people who wanted to keep it a guy will just leave, and I just hope the diehards, and I'm hoping people are not that shallow to leave a series.
I hope not. All right, Christian, what do we got in the world of conventions and public appearances by Mark Who 42?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about it all probably the last 2 months, but starting tomorrow, if you're listening to this on Wednesday on Krypton Radio, or any given Wednesday on the 26th of July, the 27th through the 30th, Florida SuperCon, all your favorite Mark Who 42 personnel will be there. We're going to have our convention team. We'll be there hosting panels and such. It's going to be 4 days, but you're not only going to come out there for just us. Of course, John Barrowman, Karen Gillan, and of course Peter Capaldi will be out there. And I would love to see it if Peter just somewhere along the way just dropped somewhere and then suddenly a woman shows up in his place.
Yeah. And if you liked the Daphne Ashbrook one-on-one interview with Patty Hawkins, then the fact that he's going to get to moderate the Q&As at Florida SuperCon, wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
That will be great there. Now, these two particular conventions are not on our site yet. We're just in final stages as far as negotiation, but we will go ahead and announce them. Space Coast Comic-Con, that's been on our 3rd year. We've gone every year. They will be at the Space Coast Convention Center located off of Tucker Lane in Cocoa, Florida, and their event will be running the 8th through the 10th, and definitely you want to be there because you want to see if we won the Spacey Award for the second year.
Yeah.
Definitely want to be out there. Another event that we are planning to go to, we're just in final stages before we put it up on marku42.net, is MegaCon Tampa Bay. This will be at the end of September, the 29th through the 1st, at the Tampa Bay Convention Center. Tickets are on sale now at megacontampabay.com, and Space Coast Comic-Con, the tickets you can get there at spacecoastcomiccon.com. Last but not least, at all, we will be traveling up to Dayton, Ohio to Time Lord Expo, October 13th through the 15th. Scheduled up there are myself, Mark, and Patty. We will be hosting panels. We will be doing Q&A. We're going to be out there, but definitely a big plethora of your favorite Doctor Who guests, including a plethora of Doctor Who guests. Plethora. I love well,
That's a good word. That's a good word.
Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann, Sophie Aldred, our good friend Simon Fisher-Becker, Ian McNeice, and of course Caitlin Blackwood, who played Amelia Pond, will be up there. She's for the most part, all these are our former guests. But that's not the only reason why you want to come up there. The big reason is for his second time ever. Tom Baker will be up there doing a Skype call to the convention convention, so you can ask questions. So you can get that package deal and any other tickets located at TimeLordExpo.com. You can also visit Market42.net if you need to get the link to there. But yeah, we are going to be having a busy fall from summer to fall. And guys, just be on the lookout because we are having guests galore come on to the show. But as far as our convention news, that's a wrap up for right now. Keep an eye on Marku42.net and our Facebook and Twitter pages for any upcoming events and specials going on.
All right. Hey, guys, I just want to let you know that we have an app. In case you didn't know that, I'm just reminding you, we've got the Marku42 app where you can listen to our show from. And if you get it, and you like it, and I know you like our show, please leave a comment. Please rate it with a 5-star. I like 5 stars. That's nice. That's a nice number. 5 is a nice even number, even though it's odd. I want you to go to our iTunes page and please leave a review of our show. We're going to be reading some of the reviews in upcoming episodes. We've done it before. We're going to do it again. We want to hear from you. If you've got anything you want to say to us, go to our Facebook page, Marku42, our Twitter page, and ask us questions. You can private message Marku42. Marku42 Enterprises is a new page because Marku42 is an enterprise, and we are going to have other things involved instead of just the radio show and podcasting. We do conventions. That's part of the enterprise. We do sell books and merchandise and Big Finish. That's part of Marku42 Enterprises. So please check that out on Facebook as well.
So if we're an enterprise, what letter are we?
No, see, that's a good thing. I think we're NCC 42. We're NCC 42A.
Do we blow up the old one?
Well, yeah, we did blow up. The first one blew up after 8 episodes, and then we came along. So we're NCC 42A. So definitely, I like that. And you know what? What do you guys think of this new Star Trek thing coming up?
Oh God, I'm terrified.
You're terrified.
Of that thing.
I mean, getting someone to be a continuity guy to keep it in the scope of continuity with all the other shows and hiring him after they've already filmed stuff. What kind of brains is that?
No, how does the Federation, right, look like that about 10 years before Kirk gets on the Enterprise? Because
not continuity. That's like
you're building stations.
How do we go from touchscreens back to buttons, back to touchscreens?
So anyway, we're podcast.
Yeah, we are a Doctor podcast. Yeah, just want to say, Jodie Whittaker, 13th Doctor. We can't wait. Break a leg, definitely. Do we have any final words from the Peanut Gallery?
Let's go.
Oh, yes. So until next time, have TARDIS will travel. We'll see you next time here on Marku42.
So does that mean she has etheric beam locators? Does her sonic screwdriver have 3 settings?
All right, Stephen Moffat. No.
I gotta get it out.
Hold on. This is not Stephen Moffat, so it's not Jonathan Price Master or anything. This is different. Bye, everyone.
Marku42 is written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Christian Basil, Patty Hawkins, Iggy Matthews, and Zion Kiros. This episode was edited, directed, and produced by Mark Baumgarten and co-produced by Christian Basil. Visit Marku42.net where you can register and become part of the Hooniverse Army. We can be contacted by email at mark@marku42, subject line, ? If you'd like a chance to be a guest on our radio show, send an email to our Media Relations Director, Christian Basil, at marku42media@yahoo.com. You can have Marku42 entertain at your next event or convention. Go to heroesonhand.com/Marku42. Space Coast Comics is a free monthly magazine found in over 120 locations currently throughout Brevard County, parts of Osceola, Volusia, and Indian River County in Florida, and available in Chicago. Follow them on Facebook to learn more. Doctor Who and its properties are owned by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. This show is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten, 2017. This is Krypton Radio.